Hey, what is going on, everyone? In today's video, I want to teach you guys some base building tips and tricks that I have learned so far through my journey in Once Human. We're going to go over a variety of different things, and this video did take me a bit to put together, so if you end up enjoying it and it helps you out, definitely drop a like down below to help support the channel. Also, stay tuned for a part in the video where we'll be talking about a base building contest that I'm hosting in my Discord, so stay tuned for more details on that. Okay, so the first tip here is going to be about house blueprints. So if you are at your territory right now and you hit B and you right click, you'll see there is a tab here for house blueprint. There's a presets tab and a draft tab. So the presets tab is what the game is kind of giving you to start out with. So if we click onto one of these, you'll see all of the structures that are involved with this, as well as all the materials here that you will need. Because when you actually go ahead and click G to build this, it's just going to give you kind of a ghost version of this base, and you'll still need to apply the materials to it. So you can easily look at the materials here and say, okay, I need more logs, for example, so you can kind of prepare yourself for what you're going to end up needing. That is the default building material as well. It's wood. So if I click on wood down here, you'll see it's the same thing, but I can also do stone or reinforce. So if I click on stone here, you can see the different type of materials that I will need for the stone one. And then the reinforced one, this doesn't actually have any materials here. And the reason for that is because in my memetics, if I go to my memetics right here, I actually don't have that unlocked. So I do not have the enhanced support right here unlocked. So just keep that in mind. It won't actually show the required materials unless you actually have that unlocked in your memetic screen. And then if we go back to the house blueprint right here, we'll go to the draft tab, and this is where you're able to save your own custom bases here. So if I click on add blueprint, it gives you two different options. You can either save all, which will save your entire territory, or it'll save a single building. So saving all here, if we click on that, you'll see it's building everything in wood because that's my base material. Even though I am using a shop skin on my base, it's going to use whatever the base material is. You can set a name for your house blueprint. You can set a different tag here as well as some notes. And then something else to keep in mind, if you choose the save single building option, if your buildings at your base are sharing a foundation, it will count that as a single building. So if I go ahead and click on this right here, if I just wanted to save this little greenhouse area I have in the back, if I go to click on this, it's actually going to save the entire base that I have right here because I am sharing a foundation with my main building and my greenhouse. So I would need to destroy my wood foundations here in order to kind of separate this so that I could save it separately. So something that might not be super well known as well about house blueprints is that you can actually save not only just your base, but other player bases as well. So my base that we just covered is right over there. We are now at someone else's base, so let me enter their territory. It'll pop up right here. If I hit B, I can easily see that I'm within their territory. You can see the zone right here. And then if I go ahead and right click, just like I did before, and click add blueprint, click save all, you'll see it actually builds their base right here, and I'm able to save their base. So if you end up finding a base around your world that you really like, you can just go ahead, go into their territory, hit B, right click, go to add blueprint, and you can just save their base or a single building if you did find a single building at someone's base that you really like. Now, as far as I know, there isn't a way to prevent people from doing this because I know some people probably don't want their base copied, but I'm not entirely sure how you can prevent people from doing this. But if you do know, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear if there's a way to do this. So the next tip here is actually how you're able to share certain furniture items and skins with your friends at their bases. So I actually have a full video going into this that I'll put in the description below, but I'll cover it in just a nutshell right here. So if you hit B and right click, you'll see an option in the bottom left that says manage share. If you click on that, you'll see all the different furniture items, and then in the prints tab, you'll see all the different skin items that you're able to share with friends. And it's important to note, and you can see it right here, that furniture and prints obtained through the shop or events can be shared and built in 4 friends' territories. So this is only going to work for certain shop and event items that you get. And you can see right here, I have the steel frame glass sunroom that I purchased in the shop, and I'm actually sharing this with my friend Astro right here. So we're actually at his base right here, and I'll show you that. So this is his territory right here, and you can see I've applied this all to his base right there, but let me show you exactly how to apply it. So if you hit B And if I go back into the print section here, all I have to do is choose whatever I want to apply at his base as a skin. So I'm going to just choose this cement foundation, and you'll see it's normally wood, and then I can just go ahead and apply it right there. So I can just do that for all of his if I want to, and just go around and kind of paint it onto his base. So that's how you're able to share furniture items and skins with people that you're friends with. Now, you obviously need to have building permissions at the base as well. So in order to give building permissions, all you need to do is go to your friends list here, or your hive. So I'm going to just go to my hive. If you click on your friend and you go to friend permissions, you can give them access to building, storage, and access to facilities. So he had to do this for me in order for me to do this at his base. But if he wanted to do certain furniture or skin items at my base, then I would need to do this for him. Now, another small tip related to skins is you'll notice if you go back into your build menu under prints, there'll be a wallpaper section where you have floor wallpapers, ceiling wallpapers, wall wallpapers, and roof wallpapers. So if you apply these, unfortunately, I don't really have a good one to show an example for, but I just know this from the betas. When you go to apply these, it actually matters the order or the orientation that your foundations are in. So when you're applying this to a foundation, you can see these are all lined up, but this one is going the other direction. So when you actually go to apply some of these wallpapers, so let's say I had this, the wood plank one, it would actually match whatever the orientation of that foundation is. So if you want to make sure they're all facing the same direction, that's definitely important. If you don't really care, obviously it doesn't really matter, but just a small little tip right there. And before we get to the next tip, I just want to take a second to talk about that base contest that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So this will exclusively be for my Discord community, so be sure to join the community down below. There'll be a link in the description. And then go to the base contest channel that's in the Discord. That'll have all the details that you need. But in a nutshell, this is how it'll work. People will be submitting photos and an optional video of their base, and then we'll have the community vote on which ones they like best, and the winner will get a $25 Steam gift card. So if you are a Steam player for Once Human, you'll be able to use that obviously for the game in the shop. You can add it to your Steam wallet, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see all the submissions. So be sure to join the Discord. That link is in the description down below. So the next tip here is about the groundwater pumps. So if I go back into my build menu here, you'll see that there is a water pump here. There's actually two different things that are labeled as water pumps. So if I go into function facility, you'll see there's another water pump here. This is the smaller water pump that you can use to pump things from one thing to another. This other one right here is the groundwater pump. That's what I call it. It extracts water from the ground. It can actually get a few other things such as crude oil or dirty water, depending on where you're actually placing this water pump. But one thing to know about this is that I think most people are probably placing theirs on the ground like this, and that's probably because they're thinking, oh, it's a ground water pump, so it needs to be directly on the ground. But you can actually place these up in the air. So the way that you're going to be able to do this is if I destroy this one right here, and I just go ahead and build it again. If you see on the left side, it says Alt and scroll wheel to adjust the height. So all you have to do, similar to how you would do this for any other part of your base, is just scroll it up in the air, and you can go ahead and place this higher up. Then you can walk underneath it. So this is just a good tip if you are really into the aesthetics of your base, or you're kind of messing with gravity a bit and you want this to be maybe higher than something for some reason. You can go ahead and just make this higher up in the air. I've seen people do this with multiple groundwater pumps, and then they're able to walk underneath it. So it's just kind of a interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people know about. Another tip related to water is with the water tank. So as you guys might already know, gravity plays a big part in actually filling up your water tanks here. You can use some water pumps as well, but it's just honestly easier to use gravity. So you can see I have some rain collectors up here going to a filter, and then that is going down into my water tank. But what's important to know here is that the water tank actually has two different areas that you can connect pipes. So you can see this pipe right here is going to the top of the water tank, so you can see that water flowing in. But there's also a spout on the bottom right here, allowing you to basically distribute whatever is in here to something else. So you can either connect this to a water pump, or you can just use gravity if I put something maybe down there. So if I go into build mode right here, it can be a little tricky actually selecting this, so you might need to do it a few times, a little trial and error. But if I connect a pipe, you'll see that connected up top. So if I try that again here, whoops, we don't want to move it. Again, not really working. And then there we go. Now we have it. So you can see that's coming right out of that spout on the bottom. So I could connect this to something else. So just a little tip there that these water tanks actually have 2 different areas that you can connect pipes. Now, the next tip here is something I am guilty of actually not doing enough of, and it is using the flight mode in the game to help build. So when you go into your build mode here, you'll see that the tilde on the left, and I apologize, I'm not really sure what this might be on some other keyboards, but I'm in North America, so this is the keyboard that I have. I have tilde, which is above my tab key. If I enter flight mode, you're actually going to be able to kind of get this ghost camera, and it's going to allow you to build a lot easier. I found it super easy to snap things together in this mode, or at least I should say way easier than if I was just using my player. And something important to remember as well with this is that you do have a territory that is, you know, kind of all out here. So you can build obviously all out here, but remember, you can also build up. The game has a pretty high ceiling. I've seen some pretty tall buildings. You can see kind of one of them over there as well. So just a reminder that you can not only build out, but you can also build up in this game. So don't be afraid to build multiple floors to your base, and just really test the limits of the height that the game allows you to build. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about power at your base. So one thing that I'm not sure if a lot of people are doing, especially new players, is that you can actually set up switches for the different electrical items that are at your base. And what this helps you do is kind of manage the power that's at your base. So the way that you can unlock those switches, by the way, is go to your memetics, head to the logistics tab, scroll down, and you'll see something called electrical kit here. So this will unlock a few different things, more than just some switches here. And then if you go into your build menu, under facilities, power facility, you'll see all the different circuit modules here that they have. So I'm using this switchable pylon right here. They also just have a regular switch, and they also do have a regular pylon here that kind of can help you sort of, you know, guide your wires in the proper way if you really want to have a really aesthetically pleasing base. But just as an example with this, the stove that I've built right here, it uses 3 watts of power, so this isn't really using a lot of power, but if you had a really power-intensive base, you might want to invest in some switches. And basically the way it works is I have this stove here, like I said, using 3 watts of power. I've then connected the stove to this switch right here, and then I've connected the switch to my solar panels on the top of my base. So you can see the stove is powered on right now, but if I went to actually switch this off, and I go to stove, you can see it says power supply is missing. And so if I turn this on and I go ahead and go check my solar panels upstairs, we'll see how much power is being used. So we have 19 watts being used right there, and we have 0 watts being used right there. So let me just go ahead and turn that off, and we should be at 16 watts when the stove is off. So let's go check it again, just to prove it to you guys that this is actually working on saving power here. So this should say 16 watts now, which it does. And that's how you can utilize switches. You can use them for deviations. I know some of the deviations require power, or they don't require, they just prefer electricity. None of them actually require power. But you can use it for anything that's electrical in your base. So it's just really useful to help just kind of manage your power as you're building up your base. Also, just another quick tip. I see a lot of people asking about this. How can you actually hide wires and pipes at your base? So all you need to do is go into your build menu. You'll see on the left side it says L for show, hide, wire, and plumbing. So all you do is hit L on your keyboard, and there you go. Now your base looks a little bit better. There's not wires going all over the place. I am very guilty of just having wires all over, as you can see, so it doesn't really look that great. So I always have mine off. Unfortunately, I believe if someone visits your base, they will still see all the wires there, but at least for you, it won't look like that. Also, just another tip related to base permissions. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but shout out to Astro for showing me this. So if you give one of your friends building permissions at your base, not only does this allow them to build things obviously at your base, but it also allows them to repair things at your base. So if you are both doing Stardust Resonator events and obviously your base is taking some damage, you don't need to be the one that has to repair everything. Your friends that you have given building permissions to can also repair your base as well. So that's just a good little tip there in case you guys are doing some group events. Another good tip to know is related to the territory terminal. And I know a lot of other kind of survival games, wherever you move your territory terminal or wherever you claim your base, if you end up moving that, it actually moves the zone for where you can build in. That is not the case in this game. You can see I am moving my territory terminal around, but that kind of white box that's around my base that lets me know where I can build is not moving at all. So if I go place it out here, you can see that zone stays the same. And basically what this kind of lets you do is if you want to go ahead and set up a base over here in the zone, and then you want to set another base up over here, maybe for the Stardust Resonator events, you can go ahead and do that, because when you start those Stardust Resonator events, those enemies will actually just try to go towards the Stardust Resonator, so it kind of keeps your base a little bit safe. I know the spawning is kind of wonky for those enemies right now, so there are chances that they will appear near your base, but I would say the chances are higher that they won't if you're actually kind of splitting up your territory into two separate bases, one for defending the Stardust Resonator filter, and then one of them as kind of your regular base. So just an FYI, you can move this territory terminal without actually affecting the bounds of your base. Another tip to keep in mind, especially I would say for the end game, is make sure that you're aware where you're actually placing your base in relation to other areas. So if I go to the map right here, you can see this is where my base is, and I am right near Tallgrass Inn. So to teleport to Tallgrass Inn, it's going to cost me 55 energy links. But if I wanted to go ahead and teleport to, let's say, Blackfell up here, that's going to cost me 260 energy links. So based on where your base is going to change the cost of energy links to teleport to different places. So this might not seem like a huge deal right now, but as you get to the end game, you'll be spending more and more energy links for crafting specific items. So just keep in mind, you might want to build your base kind of not in the middle of nowhere, because every time that you're going to teleport, it's going to cost more and more. So you might not want to just put it, pretty far away from a main settlement. Obviously you can, you're free to do whatever you want, but just a little tip there to keep in mind how much energy links it's going to cost you to teleport to specific places from your base. Another good tip to know is that if you unlock the medium garage or large garage, you can build the vehicles that you can actually put bases on top of. So you'll see a lot of people probably driving around or leaving these kind of in these highly populated sort of areas, even though there's not really anyone right here. Right now we're in Blackfell, and they'll usually have like a vending machine. It's a good opportunity to kind of set up a little shop, but you can be as creative as you want with these. But the real tip here is that I have building permissions at Astro's base, so I also have building permissions at this mobile base here. So if I go into build mode, you can see it says Astro Xenos, so that is his mobile base right here. I'm actually able to move this stuff around and manipulate it if I want to. So that's just good to know. And just as an FYI, where you can unlock these, if you go to your memetics, go to your building section, you'll see that there is a medium garage here. This is going to unlock the turbo pickup, and then there's also a large garage that unlocks the trailer head. Something else to note for these mobile bases is that you cannot teleport to them, but you can respawn at them. So kind of think of them as like a camp. They essentially are acting as a camp, so when you die, you could respawn at your mobile territory, but you're not actually able to go teleport there like you could for a normal base like my base right here. So just some bonus tips as well for getting some furniture items is there are multiple ways you can kind of get furniture items in the game. So obviously you can get them from the normal paid shop here. So if you go to shop, territory, and then you go to bundles, you'll see there's all these different furniture items over on the right side here that are part of all these different bundles. Also in the battle pass, you can unlock furniture. So you can see like book stand and all these different ones that you can unlock, including like these plants here. But you can also get them from specific vendors. So make sure you're going to all these different settlements here. So I'm at Blackfell, but make sure you're going to all these different settlements and talking to everyone that you possibly can. So in Blackfell here, you can go to Lacey, you can go shop, and then you can see she has two different furniture items. You have the American chandelier as well as the bathtub here. So you have to spend energy links to get those. And then you can also get furniture items just from exploring in the world. Opening up chests has a chance to drop a furniture item, so that can happen to you as well. Another little bonus tip for your base is make sure that you're upgrading your territory, your securement units, and your power upgrades in your memetics. So if you just go to your memetics here and you just search for the word expansion, just like I just did, you'll see that there is a territory expansion one. So this will give you a larger area to build in. Then you also do have securement unit expansion. So you can have up to 20 different securement units for your deviations at your base. And then if you also go and search for power, you can also get 2 different power upgrades, allowing you to have more generators at your base and generate more power. So those were a bunch of tips for base building at your base. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I know we were a little all over the place with all the different tips, but there was just a lot of different things that I wanted to try to cover. If you guys have any other base building tips, definitely drop them in the comments down below. You know, there's plenty of stuff I probably don't know still about the game, and there's probably some stuff that you guys have discovered. So definitely leave a comment down below with any other tips that you have. And be sure to join the Discord community for that base contest. That'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see all the submissions for that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support you've given me so far, and I hope to catch you in the next video. All right, take care, folks.